guys, welcome back. A few of you have asked me to continue my series on how to respond to an employer's motion for summary judgment, so today we're going to do that. By now we know what we're supposed to be doing when we're responding to our employer's motion. We're supposed to be raising genuine disputes of material fact with the story that our employer is putting forth in their motion. In my last two videos on the subject, I've talked about how to raise factual disputes, credibility disputes, and disputes about relevance, and I'll put some links to those videos in the description for this one. And today we're going to talk about disputes around the admissibility of the evidence that our employer cites in their motion. And there are three types of admissibility disputes that we can look out for. First, we can dispute any hearsay that our employer cites in their motion. Generally, hearsay isn't allowed because it's so unfair, but there are some exceptions, and in the description I'll put some links to some information on what those exceptions are. My boss tried to float some hearsay as evidence when she claimed that a previous boss of mine had told her that back when I worked for her, she had concerns about my attendance as well. My previous boss still worked for NASA, so they could have just had her come and testify. That would have given my attorney a chance to cross-examine her about whether she really had concerns, and it would have given my AJ a chance to hear both sides and assess the truth. But instead of doing that, they just tried to float a rumor as if it were fact, and my AJ wasn't having any of it. We can also dispute admissibility when the evidence that our employer is offering was improperly collected or handled. And I can give you an example from my case that didn't really happen to me during summary judgment. It happened just after summary judgment, but it shows how we can dispute evidence on the basis of admissibility. My boss constantly accused me of being AWOL when I was really in the restroom dealing with my IBSD. I was really concerned about getting fired when I hadn't done anything wrong, so I started taking pictures with my NASA phone to show that I was where I said I was. I figured the pictures being time-stamped and on a NASA device would be rock-solid evidence of where I actually was. Now, I only took those pictures as self-defense, so I'd have some proof of where I was in case my boss did try to fire me. But since she never tried to do that, I never actually had to use those pictures, and I never showed them to anyone, not even EEOC. Apparently, after I retired, NASA was able to recover those pictures from my device, which I guess isn't surprising. Right before my hearing, they went to my AJ with some new evidence they claimed to have found. My boss said that she had discovered an email that I sent to her and to all my peers that had all those pictures I had taken attached to it. So she claimed that I sent all those photos to everyone in my work group. Now, I knew that I didn't send that email, and sure enough, when my attorney and I started looking at it, we noticed that the email that they presented didn't really have any timestamp on it. So there was no way to tell when it was sent or even really if it was sent. My attorney argued that the email was inadmissible under Rule 901 of the Federal Rules of Evidence, which say that in order for evidence to be admitted, it has to be authenticated. And without a timestamp, that email couldn't be. I couldn't understand why NASA would even try a trick like that. They had to know that we were going to notice there was no timestamp. So why try to float a piece of evidence that can't be authenticated? And the answer to that question brings up another type of dispute that we can raise around admissibility. Rule 403 of the Federal Rules of Evidence says that evidence shouldn't be admitted when the potential for it to create an unfair prejudice outweighs any evidentiary value that it may have. My attorney argued that the email NASA was trying to put into evidence wasn't only not authenticated, it also had the potential to create prejudice against me. Most people never have to take photos like that, so chances are they wouldn't have understood why I did decide to take them, and they might have held that against me. Besides the potential for prejudice, that email really didn't have a lot of evidentiary value because there was no timestamp on it, so my AJ didn't allow the email in. So together with the videos that I've linked in the description, that should give you a good idea about how to go about raising genuine disputes of material fact in response to your employer's motion for summary judgment. Next time, we're going to stick with the same subject, and I'm going to be sharing some tips and resources that I've found from attorneys where they tell you how to respond to an employer's motion for summary judgment. So click the bell, and I'll see you next time. Till then, take care and hang in. Bye, Clark.